Hey everybody, welcome back to Girl Talk. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, before we get started, if you could give me a like, share, thumbs up, comment, all that other good stuff, I would appreciate it. So we're actually going to get right into yesterday's Lindsay Clancy trial recap, and that is day, I believe we're up to 19. Um, there was a lot going on yesterday. So Dr. Mack was via Zoom. So he was sworn in, and witness Dr. Avram Mack, and this was the cross examination, prior testimony and qualifications. He testified 1 to 2 times previously on criminal responsibility, affiliated as independent contractor with Park Dietz and Associates, questioning on prior cases, Commonwealth versus Torres, Commonwealth versus Cotter, Feder LeBron versus Secretary of DCF. Verbatim line includes, quote unquote, I don't agree with your conceptualization. Next was a TANF case discussion. Cross-examiner asserts court found him unqualified. Mack disputes specifics. Verbatim line includes, quote unquote, yes, I do, regarding remembering the attack on his testimony. Retention bias and confirmatory bias. Mack denies confirmatory bias, states he reviewed extensive records before interview. The April 2026 evaluation logistics. Evaluation dates were April 10th and April 12th of 2026. Met Dr. Heilbrunn, quote unquote, Kirk, at Tewksbury. Interview lasted 4 to 5 hours on the first day. Briggs offered, Clancy declined. The psychological testing. MMPI discussed, case scale validity questions. Mack states MMPI does not detect lying, only reliability. And then this was also Dr. Mack and postpartum symptoms cross. The psychosis symptoms. Mack states no evidence of psychosis in records. Intrusive thoughts acknowledged, not hallucinations. The next was sleep deprivation, mood swings, identity complaints. Mack cannot answer whether symptoms match postpartum psychosis. Confirms Clancy said she wanted to be herself. The next thing is thoughts of harming children. Intrusive thoughts documented. Providers asked nature of suicidal ideation. Medical care and blood tests. Mack gives no opinion on quality of care. Confirms no blood tests were administered. Enzyme reaction testing not performed. And then he was redirected. So this went back and forth quite a few times. He stated that he is not an investigator, evaluates mental condition only. The retention timeline, he was retained late 2024, early 2025. The joint interview with Dr. Heilbrunn. Only one opportunity permitted, interviews overlapped. Breaks offered. Clancy declined. Videographers were present. Entire interview was recorded. The video was admitted without objection. So Dr. Mack, and this is the rebuttal on the TANF case, He clarifies testimony was excluded due to state-specific data limitations, not lack of expertise. The DSM-5 discussion. He specified, quote unquote, with peripartum onset explained, 4-week postpartum window noted, major depression episode criteria listed. And then Dr. Mack, the final examination. Mack states he does not know whether defense controlled interviewing scheduling. And then they had their morning break, and then the next witness was Dr. Kirk Heilbrunn, and this was the direct examination. Dual roles, therapist versus forensic evaluator, states he would never evaluate his own therapy patient. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, why he would never evaluate his own therapy patient. I thought that's what they were there for, but okay. Experience and qualifications. He testified over 330 times. 75% was for the defense, 25% was for the prosecution of the court. Retention bias and confirmation bias. Acknowledges retention bias exists, guards against it. Leadership roles. Former department chair, president of 2 national forensic psychology organizations. The evaluation of Lindsay Clancy. Reviewed records since January 2025. 3-day evaluation in April 2026 with Dr. Mack. And psychological testing performed on day 2. Collateral interviews. Interviewed Patrick Clancy and Sue Clancy. The sister declined. He said that the joint interview rationale was about efficiency and overlapping questions. Independent reports. Mack and Heilbrunn wrote separate reports, did not agree on diagnosis. That is interesting. So they were kind of there together, but they did not agree. So Dr. Kirk, which is Dr. Heilbrunn, major findings. Pre-September 2022 mental health. Minimal history, achievement-related anxiety, no childhood trauma. Post-September 2022, symptoms were anxiety returning to work, breastfeeding concerns. Zoloft started in October, and with that came insomnia, racing heart, intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts, he said the thoughts were internal, not auditory hallucinations. December 2022 deterioration. Lindsay had severe insomnia, panic, was zombie-like, and had suicidal thoughts. Women and Infants Hospital, not accepted into postpartum program, offered other programs, did not follow up. McLean Hospital, admitted January 1st to the 5th, 2023, diagnosed postpartum depression and MDD, which was recurrent and mild. Discharged with, quote unquote, small shred of hope. And then his analysis of 2 possible explanations. Explanation number 1 is acute psychosis with command hallucinations. Clancy reported hearing, quote unquote, this is your last chance. You have to kill the kids so you can kill yourself. Explanation number 2. Suicide plus altruistic philocide. Heilbrunn states most evidence supports explanation number 2. And then evidence for acute psychosis, reported voice, possible thought broadcasting misinterpretation, concerned children might be taken if she disclosed thoughts. And then the evidence against acute psychosis, Hallucination lasted only 18 minutes, never before or after. 8 months postpartum is outside the typical window. Inconsistent accounts of what voice said. Malingered hallucination indicators. External voice but no accompanying delusion. Constant rather than intermittent. No coping behaviors and unfamiliar single male voice. And then thoughts versus hallucinations. Intrusive thought consistent with months of prior symptoms. And same doctor responds to husband when asked, "What did you do?" Clancy replied, "I tried to kill myself." Memory recovery. Questions accuracy of later recollection of hallucination. And the evidence for suicide plus altruistic filicide. Months of suicidal ideation. Did not like leaving children. Believed children would suffer without her. Verbatim line included, quote unquote, "Go to God, baby, go to God." And then the mortal sin discussion. This is where it kind of got a little hairy. Heilbronn testified Clancy expected she and children would be together, quote unquote, in heaven with God. He added, quote unquote, "She was raised as Catholic, and as I understand Catholic considerations, that's not necessarily what happens. But when I asked her about that, when I said, 'Isn't suicide a mortal sin?' Judge immediately halted testimony and called sidebar. Defense moved for mistrial, citing intentional misconduct due to prior mortal sin reference earlier in the trial. Commonwealth argued witness volunteered the statement. Question did not solicit religion. The judge ruled no mistrial, but testimony was stricken. The jury instructed, quote unquote, "Religion is absolutely an inappropriate area of testimony. It is to be stricken. It cannot be considered. The witness's understanding of Catholic teachings is immaterial, irrelevant, and to be disregarded." So I was just going over reading a few of the comments on Reddit, and from what I'm gathering, some are, I don't know. I think we're still going, they're kind of hoping for either a mistrial or not guilty by reason of insanity. And I gotta say, I did miss a little bit of this yesterday because I got sidetracked and completely busy, but I can tell you that the general consensus of the public, I think I missed this part. Something happened with the prosecution and people are really pissed at the prosecution. So the DA and the prosecution side, they didn't do so good. So we will keep it at there, and we'll keep this short and sweet, and we will see what happens today. So that was the recap, and that was day 19. Thank you all for joining me, and we will talk soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye.